So I want to just share with you on how to recognize narcissism. It is everywhere. It is in the workplace. It is in church. It is in our homes. It's among our family members. It's among loved ones. And it causes such mayhem in our lives because in truth, it seeps into some places in our systems that will retard you, will distress you, will make you so mentally unwell. And as I pondered this week, well, coming up since last month and what we would share in this month, there are so many issues that came to the fore that came to mind, or persons were distressed and reached out, and you recognize that they may be dealing with some narcissistic personalities. And I thought I would share this. I did share this maybe 3 years ago when the pandemic just started and was trying to help people understand how to navigate difficult personalities. And tonight I want to look at that in this space. And I just pray that you will take from this context something meaningful that will move you from this space to change your life in some way, because negative things really are what I find hold people back. What someone said to you, what they told you, how they said it, how they demean you. And this comes a lot from the narcissistic personality, from other personalities too. But we understand that narcissism has what seemed to be a crippling effect on persons' lives. So welcome to the room, or mental health night, recognizing narcissism. And I want to just bring to the fore and to recognition. I don't know how many of you know of it. I know, Dr. Denise, that this is one that we live by, but I have a copy of my DSM-5 here and DSM-4 TR before that, and others. But the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is what we call the DSM of mental disorders, is the handbook used largely, I'm going to say, North America and the rest of the world somewhat. This is known, we depend on it here in North America for understanding by healthcare professionals in diagnosing mental disorders. And so the DSM is what I like to refer to as what we call the canon for mental disorders, as we consider the Bible, right? So I've put that there so that we can, the Bible for Christians, the DSM for mental health practitioners, as we look to work and particularly to diagnose or to better understand mental disorders. So the 5th edition is the most recent edition and is therefore referred to as the DSM-5. So when you hear that, whether it's from your family doctor, your therapist, or whoever, it's 5 at the end is really just referring to the latest edition, just like we would say COVID-19 because it came about in 2019. So wanted you to understand that. I recognize that there are some terms I may use just because of this topic tonight that may not be the easiest for you in the moment. I'll try to explain that and maybe overshare a little, but bear with me. So the DSM-5 identifies 10 specific personality disorders. And I've put that there are 2 other categories to be taken in consideration. Like it could be a disorder that is as a result of some medical condition, or some that we call not otherwise specified. So they don't fit directly into a category, but they are part of it. So if we remove those 2, there are really 10 specific descriptive ones. And from the DSM's perspective, a personality disorder is a person's pattern of behavior and inner experience that continues over time. And it seems to be very distinct and different from what is considered acceptable by the cultural norms. So you know something is a little off or different or othered. It's just not the same as most people around you. So the DSM would consider that a behavior or an experience that is distinct. It's very distinct and different from what we consider culturally as the norm. And in order for someone to be considered having a personality disorder, it has to be consistent over time. It needs to lead to some distress or impairment. Sometimes it's diminished in that it's not all gone, but there's lessened, appearance of something, or maybe the person has an inability to function in their daily living. So it does impair them, or it lessens the normal functioning in a way. And it can be seen, personality disorders can be seen from adolescent or early adulthood. So I know last time we spoke about like wounds and anxiety. So we looked at those things mostly. With anxiety is a mood disorder, is how you feel, right? Narcissism is a personality disorder. It's how you are. That's how you're tan, right? This is who you are. Now, I want you to understand that we can treat someone's mood. If it's low, you can do something to help to bring it up. If it's too high, you can bring something to normalize it. But when people are a certain way, they have to change, right? They have to choose to change. There is no fixed remedy in that way for a personality disorder. It takes work from the person. It takes commitment to the work. And it's not as easy to treat when it's a personality disorder. The narcissistic personality is characterized by three main features, three main things. You see these things in someone, and disclaimer, let me put a disclaimer here that every one of us has some trait or form, a little bit. I'm going to say every one of us has a little bit of narcissism within us. I'm not saying that we have narcissistic personality disorder. So some of these things you may think, but I like that. Well, I don't think I have a narcissistic personality. And that's what I'm saying, that you may find that you identify with something. It doesn't mean that you have a narcissistic personality disorder. So the three main features of narcissism that show up in a narcissistic personality is grandiosity. And I know it maybe for some of you, it sounds really grandiose. It's a big term. It's this inflated self-importance. You know, those people that you meet and they overstate every accomplishment. Those persons that you meet and you say something and they have to one up. And what they share is not because they are making an alignment to yours to say, for example, I get it because when I had this happened, imagine yours, right? It's not like that. It's not to connect in that way. It's not to make you, to make them understand and make you feel, give you assurance that I get what you're saying because, man, I've been in a similar situation. It's not that. It's this, they overstate accomplishments, or they exaggerate things. They crave to be recognized for things that they have little or no achievement to show. So they will brag about a lot of things. Oh, I have all of these, wealth creation I have. And when you really check out the facts, you're like, but they're broke. Like, so what are you doing with this wealth creation, right? It's not measuring up. They achieve all of these things and man, they've studied here, there. And when you check it out, they have not completed anything, right? So it's overstating a lot of things to get a certain response. And their favorite pronoun is I. Favorite. I would do, I do this, I. It doesn't matter what you say. And it's not, I have experienced a similar, so I get you. It's never about that. It's I. Here's what I would do. You know what I would do? It's always I for them. It's the grandiosity. It's a personality disorder. Now, when that comes with a feature of the craving for admiration, they are preoccupied with unlimited success. They're just preoccupied with it. Power, intelligence. They say nobody's as smart as they are. Oh my God, they know some people, they're in a certain clique. Oh, they've walked with these persons. Did you know that I have a number for so-and-so? I just had lunch last week with so-and-so who is related to some big name person. And you think, okay, so like an eighth cousin of maybe a former United States president or something, you had lunch with them. How does that affect the price of cheese, right? But it's this preoccupation with power, intelligence, beauty, or this ideal love. You will hear them talk about people are not as smart as they are. They can't be friends with those people. They're too dunce. They're not as, man, they can't reason at my level. I don't do those people, right? You will find the narcissistic personality, the narcissist who will bring these kinds. This is how they debate. This is how they sell themselves. They live for comparing themselves to knowing something or to associating with certain people or to have certain privileges or fame. And they use charm to fish for compliments. So they will give you a compliment just so you can give them back one. They will give you, they will make a remark that is not even a full compliment, but so that you can say something about them in that moment. And so they fish for it. And if they're not getting it from you, they'll move around the room, they'll move in that space, they'll socialize just to get someone to recognize them and to fish for the compliment that they're looking for. These are not persons who can walk into a space, stay at the back, and just leave. And I'm not talking about, someone who's just antisocial. I'm talking about just any ordinary person, but you could walk into a space, you could say hi to people from a distance and you move on. These are persons who want to engage in long conversations to receive compliments or to be recognized for something, for someone who's leading to recognize them or stuff like that. And so admiration, they have a dire need for admiration. And remember, the admiration is from how they look, to their intelligence, to their success, to their power, to their networking, to just profile. And then another thing about them is that they lack empathy. They show no remorse for others' feelings. They are condescending towards other people, and they believe that they are the standard to judge everyone else by. So even when you bring a scenario to them, a situation, they use themselves as the standard. They are the yardstick. They are the canon of the judgment for others, right? I wouldn't do this. That's so wrong. So just because they wouldn't, or because they think this is what the solution would be, or because they think this is how you should do life. You know, those persons who tell you, who will literally tell you how you should live life. I don't know. I couldn't do it. You should do this. You should take a page from my book. I don't like your book. Why would I take a page from your book? I am not you. And you have to remind yourself of those things or you feel less than, because they have this lack of empathy. They don't care about how that remark made you feel. They don't care about the fact that you're like, ouch, that didn't sit well. Are you judging my decision in this? I'm just saying I wouldn't do this, right? And so they don't care about your feelings in that moment, as long as you see them as a standard worthy to judge yourself by. And so the three main features, the grandiosity, this self-importance that they promote, the admiration that they crave for, and their lack of empathy. They don't care what you are feeling, right? So, and here goes my slides getting stuck. But these three main components underlie the general disposition of the narcissist. They show up in various ways in an everyday interaction, and I want you to understand that. And the research has shown that of the people who are narcissistic, 80% are men and 20% are women. And I clearly put a note here, not 80% of all men. Of the people who are narcissistic, data shows that 80% are men and 20% women. So we're not saying 80% of all men are narcissistic. So understand that. I've put here that in my experience as pastor, preacher, student of the word, I mean, I've been through the scripture, I've seen different personalities, I've seen, we evaluate some of them and we see arrogance and so many things. For me, King Saul, the person of King Saul came closest to what I have seen patterns of a narcissistic behavior. And tonight I want to use that reference to some of the things that King Saul did that replicate the everyday behavior of a narcissist. Because King Saul's interpersonal relationships were very toxic and unrelenting. And he displayed traits of haughtiness and arrogance and grave need for admiration. And he had an unwillingness to recognize or identify with the feelings of others. And these features are observed throughout his entire reign as king over Israel. So yes, like Saul, King Saul, many leaders exhibit narcissistic personality disorders. Actually, narcissists are very high functioning people. They are not dummies. They are not idiots. They are not stupid. They're not dunce. They're not illiterate. They are well-spoken, intelligent people who are in high positions in leadership, that you work with, that you live with, that you marry, that you work for, that you serve with in church. They are everywhere. And they are in many, many different forms of leadership. So with the narcissist, they have certain traits. And it's a trait, one of the main things about the traits of the narcissist is that it's a circular game. It's like a cycle. There's no breaking, there's no end to escape with the narcissist. It's very difficult. It is unending and you cannot win. You cannot win a narcissist at their game. So don't try. You think you can argue, I can up you. You can't up a narcissist. So I want to make that clear for those of us in this space who you probably say, I'm not a narcissist, but I know I have to relate to people, or I live with some, and you believe I'm going toe to toe with them. You cannot win at an argument with a narcissist. So that's the first thing you need to understand. Your win is your silence. Your win is what we're going to look further on as some stonewalling. You need to remember that. Save your peace of mind by doing that. It's a circular game that the narcissist plays. And so look at the blame game. That's the first thing. It's a blame game. God chose Saul. That's the portion Cara read tonight, as the first king over Israel, because Israel cried out to God. They want a king. They want to be like all the other nations, and God gave them Saul. And by chapter 13, Saul was now in his second year of reign. Saul was preparing his men to go up in battle against the Philistine. And the prophet Samuel had instructed Saul to wait on him to offer the sacrifice unto God before the battle. This is the command from God through his prophet. And Saul waited for a week at the site. And when he didn't see Samuel, he decided to offer the sacrifice himself. Now, Samuel appeared right after the sacrifice was offered. And here's the game. When Samuel confronted Saul as to why he disobeyed, Saul said, I saw my men were scattered. He's the leader of the pack. I saw my men were scattered. So they were scattered. It's not him yet. You did not come. Here's the blame on the prophet. The Philistines were gathered and ready to fight us. Again, they. Notice the three reasons so far. Nothing pointed to him as the leader that got the instruction from God. And so in the arrogance, he said, I took it upon myself to offer the sacrifice. Based on all these things, they were my vulnerabilities. You didn't show up. I mean, you slacked off. You should have shown up when you needed to be here. And the men were scared. The Philistines were upon it. What do you want me to do? God already gave this man an instruction. The blame game. He never took that blame for himself. He gave everybody else and showed up the reasons why. Oh, why I did what I did because I cheated because you didn't make dinner. You didn't love me enough. You are going out with your friends. I stepped out of this marriage because You are not, I don't have the interest. You're not dressing right anymore. You don't appeal to me anymore. You don't, the blame game. They do something because someone else made them do it. That's a narcissist, the blame game. So Samuel said, well, you've acted foolishly because now God has taken the kingdom from your house and will establish another king for himself, someone that he can trust. And instead of remorse, now if we had continued reading in that portion that correlated from verse 15, instead of remorse and repentance, Saul took his son Jonathan and their 3,000 men, and he headed into battle just the same, like nothing happened. Now, only a narcissist could move on like nothing happened. Even though you just heard that you disappointed the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, God of heavens and Israel's armies, and you moved on and made a decision on your own and still went into battle. There was no concern for the people's fear. He never said, okay, we need to put this off, or please give me a word. Should we hold off till God speak? No, he went into battle. He wasn't concerned about their fear to enter into a battle that they weren't sure that God had approved. He was concerned about himself and the reputation. If he didn't go into battle, or if he ran away and lost that battle, what would that look like when the people heard that Saul retreated? It was about him. So where Saul's haughtiness showed no respect for Samuel's position as priest. So in chapter 15, Samuel reminded Saul that it was God who had anointed him king over Israel. And so he should obey the instructions of God. And Saul was now to go into battle against the Amalekites and destroy everything for all that they had done to Israel. No, this is your next assignment. Get it right, okay? Saul went and he conquered. However, he took back Agag, the king of Amalek, and the best of the land. And when Samuel came to Saul, Saul went to Samuel first and greeted him. They will take the lead. They will up you. They start the conversation and twist you around. Or if you bring your presence, oh, why are you here? I did exactly what I was supposed to do. By the time the narcissist is done with you, you haven't even gotten a word in to explain your position, or why this is such a bother, or why you are concerned. It's difficult to get a word in. Listen, with a narcissist, you have to have facts. Facts. You know, 1 Corinthians 13 says we shouldn't keep any record of wrong. But with a narcissist, you have to have your record, or they will make you feel like you are losing your mind. He said to the prophet, I did everything the Lord has commanded. And Samuel confronted Saul on that lie. Saul said, no, I did everything God asked. He denied the whole thing. Samuel had to check his own reality. Like, wait, do I not hear the bleating of the sheep and the lowing of the oxen? What is it that I'm hearing? Am I losing my mind? Have you ever had some interactions with a narcissist, and when they're done with you, you leave thinking, did I actually say that? Like, was it I who said that, or they said that? Like, why do I feel that they put that on me? You are so confused about your reality. You have to begin to check with other people. Am I that? Am I really that? Or am I made to feel like I am that? Am I hearing right? Or is all of this bleating of sheep in my head? Is this a nightmare? Like, am I dreaming? Pinch yourself. You are so confused. So confused with a narcissist. Saul deflected the whole thing and he put it on the people. And he further worsened it by saying, by the way, we took them back so that we can offer them as a sacrifice to God. Now, how could you choose to offer something to God that God already said you should destroy? So this leads us to another common trait of the narcissist. So we move from the blame game to what we call gaslighting. And many of you are familiar with that maybe, or you've been gaslighted so many times, you know this by now. And that is when they make you second guess yourself and your own thinking. They are shifty people when caught. They're slippery. You can't pin a narcissist down. My goodness, let me tell you something. They will tell you that God hates divorce. That's what the narcissist will tell you. And then you said, wait, but God also hates adultery. And that's why I'm divorcing you. And the narcissist will say, but the adultery is because you weren't being a good wife or a good husband. So you are at fault why the adultery happened. And so if the divorce happens, God hates that. So you need to work on that. The narcissist is so shifty that when they're done with you, if you don't know your grounding, if you have all these trauma of self-esteem and self-worth issue, oh, you are a bait for the narcissist because they have you wrapped around their finger when they're done with you. Imagine if Samuel didn't know who he was as a prophet of God who hears from God. Saul would have confused him. He would have begun to imagine, wonder if that was all in my head, or did God really tell me that, the sacrifice, everything should have been killed. I wonder if he wanted him to bring back the animals for a sacrifice and I missed that. Listen, the narcissist will mess you up. Samuel would be confused and wondered and nothing would make sense for him. So, imagine him thinking, was I not hearing right? It won't make sense in your head. And I want to say to you, if you are dealing with a narcissist, whatever is the relationship to you, a relative, a friend, a partner, whether it's familial or professional or wherever it is, they are shifty. And they will confuse you, distress you, and continue to make you feel like you're even lying on yourself. So God rejected Saul and an evil spirit, a low depressive mood came over him. And with a narcissist, you are only a means to an end. I want you to remember that. You are only a means to an end. If they want something and you can help them to get it, then that's it. You're the bait. You are the bait. So whether it is that it's your status that the narcissist wants, oh, they admire who you are, they know you have big connections and networking. The narcissist wants your status. They're going to befriend you. They're going to wheel their way in, whether it's profiling they want, or a visa, or power, or a job, or to be connected to other people that you know. That's all you are. You are a connecting point, a means to their end. That's it. They don't value you beyond that. And when they get what they want from you, you are discarded. They are keeping you in the web, but who you are discarded. You're not important anymore. They take over your friends. They take over your family. They consume everything you are. And Saul needed someone to play music. Who do you think was recruited to play? David. David was an excellent musician and he served Saul. And David played for Saul, who had no regard for him, but tried to throw javelin at him to kill him every time. And when David fought Goliath and won, Saul had sent men to find out who David was. Yet David was his personal musician. Weird, eh? Your emotions and your vulnerabilities are invisible to a narcissist. It doesn't matter who you are, what you feel. It's like a wall. You are made to serve them, and who you are doesn't matter. It's what you can do for them. It's not who you are, it's what you can do for them. You cook their meal, you serve them, you get them a job, you do their dirty work, you speak to someone on behalf for them, you bring them into places of promotion, and that's all you are. Someone that they can use to get to their next place. So do yourself a favor and don't expose your wins to a narcissist. The worst thing you could do for yourself is to tell a narcissist about your win. They can't celebrate you. They can't celebrate you. Their tone changes. Really? Wow, must be nice. They can't celebrate you. Your losses, oh, you tell a narcissist about your losses and it becomes a bullet against you. They use it against you. It's a gaming stock. Your plans, your endeavors, they're squashed, trampled underfoot for a narcissist. So remember when God told Samuel to stop moping over Saul? This is what God was literally asking Samuel to do as a prophet. I mean, we don't read it like that when we're just reading for a sermon or for a devotional. When you're reading from a therapeutic lens, you realize that this was a literally recommended as the way you interact with a narcissist. You gray rock a narcissist. The stone wall we talk about, the gray rocking, it is used that. It means that when you're dealing with someone who is toxic, who is all about themselves, who is narcissistic, who cannot see you for who you are, who will never get there wrong, who will gaslight you and blame game. When you're dealing with those persons, stay surface. Stay surface. Some of us like to go too deep with people, telling them all your plan, all your business. They can't rejoice with you. They are going to shut it down. They're going to kill your dream before you could even conceive it properly. It's like a blighted ovum. They will delete it before it even begins to set form in the womb to come to fruition as a vision. That's a narcissist. You have to gray rock a narcissist. It's like firewalling on a computer. You have to block out, surface. They're like, how's it going? It's awesome. Oh, lovely weather, isn't it, man? Lovely summer. Keep them superficial and surface. That's the only way to survive a narcissist. And so we call it stonewalling, surface behavior, gray rocking, maintain no depth, stop moping. When they see you're sad and crying, that's the perfect bait for a narcissist. A narcissist wants to see you cry and beg them. You've just given them fuel for the fire. When they don't know what you feel, when they don't hear you lament, when they don't hear you moping about what they do or not do, oh my God, then you begin to confuse this narcissist because he doesn't know where to turn with the next game. Your vulnerability is a bait for the narcissist. Keep it surface. So this leads us to another feature. Let me try to go through this. It's a lot. Envy. Now, David was lauded in the battle. You remember when David was in the battle and the people began to chant, Saul has slain his 1,000 and David is 10,000 and so on. So when he was lauded in the battle against the Philistine giant, and the envy rose up in Saul. He coveted David's achievements and admiration that was given to David by the people. And that's it. A narcissist is envious. A narcissist is envious of you. They cannot celebrate, rejoice with you, honor you, find it praiseworthy. They cannot. Envy resides within a narcissistic personality because what? Their admiration is threatened. Their grandiosity is threatened. And so we see the lack of empathy showing up in that moment. And just mere look, and because you know people. It's because you're in a certain place. They have to attach it to something that will seem to put you down and minimize you. So here's what Saul gonna do in order to cut David down to size. He promised David his eldest daughter in marriage. And then he gave the daughter to another man. No, any man that happens to is going to be devastated. That's what devastated Samson. When his father-in-law took his wife and gave him to the best man. Saul took the woman he promised David when he won the battle, and he gave him to another man, gave her to another man. And this should have devastated David. It was supposed to break him emotionally because narcissists are emotionally abusive. They promise much and they offer or deliver little or nothing. And so they will use your vulnerabilities, like I said, as bullets against you. So Saul's second daughter, Michal, loved David, and Saul saw an opportunity. Well, I didn't get him the first time. He didn't break down and weep. I need to get him where I want him. And that didn't happen. So I have to get him another way. So he set Michal up, next wife. And this takes us to the next thing. So you see where we're moving? Blame game, gaslighting, envy to control. Narcissists thrive from having complete control. Oh my God. When they can tell you what to do, when to do, where to go, how to do it, what to wear, and what not to wear, who not to be friends with, you are fueling the narcissist. They love control. They want to know where you are, who you're with, where you're going, why you're going there, what you're doing, why you're doing it, who called you, who texted you, why they called. They want complete control over your friendships, your dreams, your vision, your life. And they will even want to control your time and your relationship with God. They will tell you how long to pray. Pray too long. You can't sing. Narcissists are controlling. You go to church too much. Why you always have to be at church? Why Bible study so long? What you guys doing in healing rooms so long? Narcissists are controlling. They're parasitic. They're like leashes. They stick onto you and they come to devour and take everything from you. And so Saul used his daughter to try to control David, just to kill him. So his envy would end. That's what he thinks. So he would now be lauded as king because he was demoted. And David had to run for his life. And even when Michal lied and said that David was sick, Saul sent men to watch David's house all night. This is when you say something can't really go so. They will stalk you. They don't quit. They push-pull. They don't want you. They want you. And they have you in a turmoil. The emotional abuse. They hoover over you like, you remember the hoover? The vacuum cleaner that sucks the life. That's it. The hoovering and the false promises. One of the things that keep people trapped to narcissists is how they falsify hope. They tell you, oh, I'm going to get better. I'm going to do this. I hear you. I'm going to improve. I'm going to make it work. Look, I'm going to be better. And 2 days, they're better. And then you say, dog never have 7 puppy. They relapse right to what? The minute you go back in the pool, you don't hear from them for weeks. And then they text and tell you they're missing you. Oh, they can't sleep. And the minute they get you back emotionally in that, then they do everything to you again and ghost you. If you let them, narcissists will abuse you mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And another thing that a narcissist does is that they triangulate you. Now, when someone triangulates you is when they bring you in between 2 other people, and then you are seen as the villain. You are the victim in it, or you are seen as the worst person. It is hard to leave the grasp of a narcissistic personality because they will try to discredit you and to bring you down with the people who are closest to you. They're not doing this with your enemies. They're doing it with your sister, with your mother, with your best friend, with your spouse, with your boss. A narcissist will find the people closest to you that you value. All of a sudden they're texting your best friend. All of a sudden they take over your relationships. The very people you introduce them to, they have swooned in and taken all those relationships. And then they triangulate you. And they talk all these things about you with these people. Tell them what you did, what you didn't do. You are this person, how they're suffering. They are victims. And then because the persons have gotten used to them, they're believing, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is your experience. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that we've been friends for so long and I didn't know this. They triangulated you in order to destroy you. They take over your whole network for their benefit. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, wait, was that person my friend first and I introduced them to this person, or was it their friend and you don't even know? You are so confused with how it emerges that you wonder if it was you who took the friend or if they're the ones who are taking your friends. narcissist comes in and they can't maintain wholesome relationships. They can't come into a relationship where there were other friends and be comfortable with the friendship that I know this person, they had other friends before me and it's okay. They can't live that. They come in and everybody must be their best. They must be the best friend for everybody. And you are now the outsider. That's the triangulation. So when David escaped, Saul blamed Michal for siding against him, her own father. How could you do this to me? I am your father. Yet she sided with her husband, right? And so it was about a negative profile that he presented to David, about David to Michal. And then when Jonathan, Saul's son, tried to help David to escape from his father's wicked ways, Saul tried to kill Jonathan himself with a javelin, his own son. And then Saul told him, hear what he told him, that he was a disgrace to his mother. Now, they will tell you some words that will cut you so deep that you have no esteem left. And the reason it may cut so deep is because it may find a trauma bonding in that moment, because you may have been told those things earlier in your life, or you may have been made to believe those things earlier in your life. And so when it connects, because you're already uncertain of who you were, those things hit that you begin to feel like this must be true then, because I was told that before and then they said this, or because they say it so to cut you so deeply that you forget who you are. You are so traumatized by the experience with someone with a narcissistic personality, you've forgotten all truth about who you are, because they've come to destroy you. So I have it here that whoever said sticks and stones will break your bones, but words can never hurt you. Man, I don't know who said it, but they lied. That was a lie. Because many people suffering today who are stuck where they are, who cannot move on, they were never physically beaten by any narcissist. They were never abused physically by others. But words, verbal abuse, emotional abuse that eventually led to psychological abuse, years of hearing you are nothing, you're no nobody, nobody else no want you, you are this, you're good for nothing, and me give you status. These are things that have destroyed people. You can never achieve that. Go and fool yourself. These are things that have destroyed people and have stuck with them for years, being told how ugly you are, how your face bumpy, how you smell, how you look. The description of your bodily form, and they will stick with you unless you have deliverance from them. So part of the strategy they use is to isolate you to themselves over time before they go in for the kill. And so remember how David used to, visit Saul's house to play for him. David was married to Saul's daughter and lived in the palace. David wasn't with his family. He was isolated. He was by himself. He had left his family, the youngest of his father's house, and he was now in a place where he only had his father-in-law, his brother-in-law, his wife, and their family and their servants and their people. He was isolated. And when they get you like that and isolate you, then they try to destroy any close relationships that you have formed with anyone. They will take over your friends that you can't even remember if they were your friends originally or theirs. So even after David ran away, Saul was relentless in his chase to destroy him. If I can't control you, I will destroy you. That's like a mantra of the narcissist. If they can't have you to control you, they're going to do everything to destroy you. And that's why separating from a narcissist, whether it's through breaking off a friendship, divorcing from a relationship, walking away from that church, whatever, walking away from the job, separating from a narcissist is going to cost you. There is no easy cut from a narcissist. They are going to make your life a living hell. Prepare for it. Because what you knew them to be, in that moment you try to separate, they're going to become 10 times worse. because their control and stronghold over you would have loosened and they can't afford that. So the only escape from a narcissist is a clean cut. David had to leave his wife and the best friend, who was his brother-in-law, Jonathan, to escape the grasp of the narcissistic spirit of their father. So with a narcissist, you have to disconnect. No extended chat and text and email, they will destroy you. You have to disconnect, delete, block for your own sanity and peace of mind. So the text tells us that God, that was sorry, next line. I think I was in the other slide. But the only hope of healing the narcissist will have to come from God, because the text tells us that God allowed the evil spirit to come on Saul. And so you can't save this person. Your children cannot save the person. Your neighbor can't save them. The priest, the pastor, only God himself. It's a personality disorder. As a matter of fact, some persons have referred to it as a trait than a disorder. Can you think of some persons with, like, say, sickle cell trait? Many persons have to be tested for that and so on. It's not something you can fix and solve. It's either you have it or you don't have it. And if you have it, there are certain precautions if you're going to marry someone else who has it and so on. Narcissistic personality disorder behaves like that, like a trait. It is in this person. Data has shown that narcissists do not change. They have minute changes that people can observe sometimes, but they do not last. One psychologist describes this like an elastic band. They stretch a little, and as soon as you feel they're changing, they snap right back in. So you can choose what you want to do with the relationship you have with the narcissist. There are two ways, I believe, that you can work with this, and you can either go or you can flow. Just me coining something, but you can go or flow. You can go from the relationship, or you can flow with what you know they are and just work with it, gray rocking, stonewalling, superficial, nothing deep. When you have familial relationships like that, it's difficult. Maybe work, you can do that because you spend some hours a day and you go home. But when you're dealing with families or close friends or people that you have to interact more closely with, it could be difficult. So you have to choose if you're going to stay and understand how to work with them. It's just mum your word, yes, superficial, oh, it's nice, oh, for sure, oh, I get that, no way. Like, all superficial, no intense emotions with a narcissist. And if you can do that, you can flow. But otherwise, they're going to get you where they want you. They tend to use empty but dramatic means or words to apologize. And there will be little or no change. And we know that remorse means a change of heart. They don't have that. So in chapter 15, we talked about that when Samuel was just moping and whatnot. And, even when Saul ran and begged Samuel to forgive him and he will change and he will do better, grabbed onto Samuel's cloak, pulling on it and begging. And God still said, he's rejected you. Even in that drama, God still said he rejected him. So it pained Samuel to walk away. With all the fanfare apology, how could you not believe? Samuel's heart broke. And your heart will break over and over and over and over again with a narcissist. But you do have two choices. Like I said, you can stay and endure the cycle. That's your flow. Or you can rip your heart away and go, because it's difficult to survive from. You're going to lose yourself. Maybe you've already lost yourself in the process. So don't, sit around, mope about what you're dealing with. Here's the reality. And they will ghost you. They will ghost you, which in a way didn't show up in this text we did tonight, but they will ghost you. They will not talk to you for 6 months. Even if you're in the same workplace, same home, same school, same program, same church, And then one day they just show up like nothing happened, and they wiggle their way right back in, and they will say all kinds of things. Oh, you are bitter and unforgiving and resentful. Why you're not talking to them? And the minute you let them back in, even after they ghosted you, they start the same cycle all over again. So are you struggling with some of these traits yourself? Do you know someone with these traits? Are you suffering from the cycle of being with someone like this? I want to encourage you, if that is where you're at, please reach out to a professional, to a mental health practitioner for help. You need it for yourself. You need it to survive the relationship. You need it if you are the narcissist as well, creating havoc for many people. You may need to be doing that work yourself.